I've returned to the battle station and been faced with an absolutely massive mess. Some tomfoolery and some bullshit's been going on in Argentina. And honestly, I've been letting Argentina get off with a free pass for far too long. All right, Argentina's Football Association was at one point so fucked up in living memory that Lionel Messi, the greatest player that might ever exist, decided that he was going to retire from the national team, after which he managed to bully the FA into getting their shit sorted out enough that he decided to return and help guide his country to their first world championship in a long time. You might have noticed that that happened. But a lot of people forget about the whole saga where he retired from the national team and repeatedly threatened to do so and all that, all that sort of fun stuff. Well, I have been getting trickle-down reports, in my position as the football internet sleuth, that nonsense has been happening in Argentina. Argentina's league makes MLS look like a normal league. That's the best way I can possibly describe it, which is a shambles, by the way. Now, before I drop into deciphering the latest reason that they're all super fucking weirded out by this, it's ridiculous that Argentina's league can't figure its stuff out. It's not hard to figure out a league, particularly when you live in a world where you don't have a league that was constructed the way MLS is. Where MLS, you own stock in the league, you don't own a specific team. It's way harder to untangle that. Argentina doesn't have that web to untangle. It is the reigning world champion, and it cannot figure out how to administrate a league to save its life. They have been they were removing teams from the top league. Now they're adding teams to the top league. Just go to the damn Wikipedia page for the league, and it's like trying to decipher some sort of code, right? Since 2012, there's been like 5 different formats for the way that they want the league to run. Somebody's got to figure out what the hell they want to do. And the latest, greatest addition is they basically have come up with the trophy and given it to a team, and now they're punishing the shit out of a team for not giving them a guard of honor, which there are layers to the stupidity here. But I want my belief to be documented on drop. At the start of the season, everybody should know all of the trophies that are going to be handed out. That seems like a pretty basic rule. When you start playing in a competition, you should know when and where the trophies are going to be released. At what point is there going to be a trophy? Because if you just start adding trophies in, at some point you get a situation like this. The way Mid and Blazers reported is Argentina's FA created a new trophy, gave it to Rosario Central, and made Estudiantes give a guard of honor. The players turned their back in protest. So if you watch this is the guard of honor. This is Estudiantes right here. This is Rosario Central walking out. They got their fans behind them. And Estudiantes and their team turn around and turn their backs to Rosario Central. Now, as far as I am aware, this is not some sort of huge rivalry. Right, that is not the biggest contributing factor to this particular incident. The biggest contributing factor to this particular incident is the fact that this trophy did not exist at the beginning of the season. Now, if I pull up the Argentina league table, I'm just going to Google that right here, you'll notice that there are 2 halves to the Argentinian league table. There's the Apertura and the Clausura. There are multiple leagues that decide to do it this way. I think it's pretty stupid, but that's just what they've decided to do. You notice there's 2 groups, and Rosario Central has done a very good job over the course of both groups. They finished with, 66 points. No other team has managed to get that many points over the 2 groups. What Argentina's decided to do, and they have a 16-team playoff, by the way. That's what the Apertura and Clausura are leading to, is you finish the top 8, you go to a playoff, whatever. They've just decided at the end of the season to make a trophy. Okay? Make a trophy for the best team overall. Which the weird thing is, this trophy would basically be for the best team in the league over the course of the entire season, Apertura and Clausura or whatever. Right, so this trophy is going to the best team in the league over the course of that entire season, which, in most places would just be known as the fucking league champion. Even in MLS, which I referenced earlier, there is the Supporters' Shield, which at some point it is kind of referenced as, a Supporters' Shield that has been created in one of the news stories that I read. Okay, but it didn't exist before. This wasn't a new trophy. And perhaps the dumbest part is, as you read here, this is reporting by The Athletic, so this is not just some, fucking idiot on Twitter. All right. This was not only a trophy they created, but a spectacle they attempted to create too, which is so stupid. Right, just days before Rosario Central's round of 16 knockout match in the Clausura playoffs against Estudiantes, which, by the way, this footage is from the knockout match. So welcome to the playoffs. You've got a guard of honor a team for being the best team in the regular season? That's just dumb. As somebody that grows up in the land of playoffs here, that's not how this works. If you have a league that you've decided to use playoffs to decide the winner, the regular season's the regular season, and the playoffs are the playoffs. MLS has the supporter shield. Little known fact, that's not even an official trophy given out by MLS. That is a trophy that was created by MLS fans to acknowledge the best team over the course of the regular season. So it's not even a top-down thing. And even if it is, cool, announce it at the beginning of the season that you're going to combine the table of the first. You get it. You understand what I'm saying. The Argentine Association created a trophy virtually out of the blue, the Campeón de Liga. It was born inside a boardroom, concocted by the First Division's executive committee and blessed by the president, Claudio Tapia, who seems to be a bit of a clown in this whole situation. Nobody seems to really be a big fan of Claudio Tapia. Argentine soccer under Cheeky Tapia and Tova, I don't know who this dude is a dictatorship. Shameful. Anyways, the new champions of the league trophy will be awarded to the team with the most points, which combines this year's Apertura and Clausura. Under these novel parameters, Rosario Central, despite not winning an actual competition all season long, so any of the competitions that were listed, right, they didn't win anything in the Apertura, right? They obviously are just going into participating in the Clausura playoffs. I'm assuming that means they didn't win the cup. They were crowned league champions. Earlier in the week, the AFA this is where we like get full like clown show nonsense. The AFA demanded in writing that Estudiantes players perform a traditional guard of honor for Rosario, but before the match, cameras inside the tunnel of Estadio Gigante de Arroyito captured two Estudiantes players embracing Angel Di Maria and whispering something in his ear, to which Di Maria nodded. Now, there's a separate quote, obviously, of Di Maria saying that the players told him basically before that they were going to turn their backs in this guard of honor, and that the players from Estudiantes were basically telling Angel Di Maria, obviously one of the big contributors to the championship that Argentina won, so probably an idol of a lot of these players, like, hey, we're not disrespecting you. We would not do that. This is a protest move. Then it was clearly premeditated declaration of dissent. Estudiantes players turned their backs on Di Maria and his teammates as they entered the pitch. So that was basically the entire build up to it. But the fact that they're sending a demand in writing that the players perform a traditional guard of honor, I'm sorry. I thought a guard of honor was a sign of respect that you did for another team and what they managed to accomplish over the course of a season. I think it is absurd beyond absurd to have a league send a directive to a team to do a guard of honor for somebody else. I think it's ridiculous. And what, we're officiating signs of respect now? Under threat of serious punishment, by the way, because punishment was handed down. Like the GM or the exec of the club got suspended for 6 months. All of the players were suspended for 2 matches in 2026, and Santiago Nunez was stripped of the captaincy for 3 months. Right? The massive suspensions for turning around in a guard of honor that you mandated with a letter after creating this trophy out of thin air and awarding them this trophy. I mean, look, there have been concerning reports crossing my unofficial desk about how Argentina's league had been poorly run for a long time. It was crazy confusing. The rules changed every year. Nobody knew what was going on. It was having huge financial issues. They tried to turn it into this product that they could sell. Then they couldn't sell it. Like, it's just been a complete mess. A complete and utter mess. But, I mean, suspending people for turning around in a guard of honor that you're trying to force them to do, it takes the cake. 6 months. The president of the club got suspended for half a year. Now, the argument for the Argentinian FA is that this was a premeditated move top down from the club. And that is basically something that's been confirmed. This is an article by The Athletic, right? This decision to turn the backs was made by the club president with the approval of the board of directors. But Estudiantes basically said that this didn't discredit or incite violence or anything. This was just a pretty banal act of protest. But the tribunal, the punishment tribunal of the FA, disagreed. The assertion that the conduct displayed did not generate violence cannot be accepted. Wait for the next sentence. Even though no physical incidents or obvious hostile reactions were verified in the stands. What? I'm sorry. Did it hurt your feelings? Did it hurt your feelings that the trophy you made up out of nowhere, and then you tried to force these people to Guard of Honor Rosario Central, and they didn't even leave. They were still there. They just turned around. I'm sorry. It might have hurt your little feelings. Well, ain't that? Oh, wow. Hurt your little feelings. Let's suspend that guy for 6 months. You incited emotional violence inside my head. Then when somebody cuts me off on the sidewalk walking in New York, I'm going to try and get them arrested because they've incited violence inside my head because they've disrupted my walking speed. Right? When a delivery driver trying to deliver food to my address texts me and says, hey, they're taking a little longer to make my food. You know what? I think I'm going to sue them and the restaurant for the emotional distress, the emotional violence that they have passed on to me by not getting me my food in a timely manner. Like, holy shit, man. Are you made of glass? Are you Humpty Dumpty? You didn't even fall off the wall. You're just sitting there and you went, oh, they were mean to me. Like, did these people not go through middle school? I don't even, dude. This was the least they could have done to protest how they thought it was a little ridiculous that they were being forced to do a Guard of Honor for a trophy that didn't exist, that nobody really cares about. It's a Guard of Honor. It's supposed to mean something. And it's just so ridiculous. The gesture analyzed constitutes a form of symbolic violence. Symbolic violence. As a native speaker of the English language, that's bullshit. That doesn't mean anything. It is either violence or not. Yeah, if they walked out for the Guard of Honor and somebody just clotheslines Angel Di Maria, probably should break out the suspensions. If this is a coordinated act along with the ultras in the stands and they just start busting shit up, then yeah, start suspending people. If a couple people turn around, it's a symbolic violence and an affront to the values of respect and sportsmanship protected by the disciplinary code. I think it's an affront to the value of respect to force these people to do. I mean, the whole thing is supposed to be about respect. If you're forcing them to do it, then it isn't about respect anymore. That's the affront to respect in the first place. The dumbest part is yet to come. Shout out to The Athletic for adding this after. The tribunal also highlighted the players' decision to turn their backs, left the child mascots who had accompanied them onto the pitch momentarily alone and unattended in a context of maximum exposure. In a context of maximum exposure. I'm sorry, did you trip and accidentally swallow a thesaurus? A context of maximum exposure. What, did they not put on a fucking sunscreen? Like, what are you even talking about? Okay, let's watch this again, by the way. You're gonna make the argument that these kids are momentarily left alone in a moment of maximum exposure. Bro, they're just standing there. They didn't even walk away. They're still in hand-holding distance of these mascots. Like, what? Are you going to lose one of these children? Is this a school field trip and you're going to lose little Timmy because he got lost in the ball pit? Like, they're in the middle of the field. These kids have never been safer. They've never been less exposed to harm. When they get in the car on the way home, they're going to be in more danger than they are right now. We're surrounded by adults on a field that is protected by security. There's a camera on them. We're not going to lose the kids. All right? They're right there. It is arguably the dumbest set of statements I've ever read. And I make a living reading fucking dumb statements. To even bring up the idea that part of the reason this was such a problem is that they left the kids unattended is just remarkable. Sometimes you witness an apparatus attempt to justify skewering somebody. Some of the worst, they're not even trying. This is just terrible justification for this. There are so many receipts to make them look stupid here. It conveyed a message contrary to the exemplary role that professional footballers must assume towards children and the footballing community as a whole. Oh, did they bring up the children again? They bring up the children again in the next statement. It's contrary to the exemplary role of professional football. Bro, I mean, if you want to talk about the exemplary role of professional footballers, we got national team players from your country on video saying some wild racist shit. All right? I didn't see any of them get suspended for fucking 6 months, like the president of this club. Right? I mean, look, this video isn't about that. Right, that was handled in its own way. I honestly don't even remember what ended up happening after that. But I feel like it's happened multiple times. And but to try and high horse your way around this is like you're defending exemplary football when you're a football association that is proven in recent past incidents to not really give a shit. Laughable. Laughable. Absurd. The type of absurdity that needs somebody to call it out. I'm not that person. There's got to be like club owners in Argentina, major footballers in Argentina, like Lionel Messi did at one point to help sort this shit out, that need to turn the light around and be like, who is this gaggle of idiots? Like, who is in charge of this decision making here that is trying to gaslight everybody into, they're trying to uphold the highest standard of professional football courtesy or something, when really it's just obvious they got their feelings hurt because the team didn't do exactly what they told them to do. This circumstance reinforces the reprehensible nature of the act, its incompatibility with the principles of fair play, loyalty, and respect that inform the disciplinary system. It's just fucking crazy to me. Anyways. So, they suspended Verón. I want to add one more thing to this because it's just wild, and I love it. They suspended Verón for 6 months. All the Estudiantes players are making a guard of honor facing away, relying on a bulletin that they drafted on the same day of the match. So I was wondering what this was. And I actually got tagged in a couple of news articles here that apparently highlight just the depths that the Argentine Federation has gone to. Estudiantes, so first of all, AFA created the MLS-style supporter shield out of thin air. They were saying that it was put in there by a vote. It was a unanimous decision by all club representatives. Estudiantes, obviously, this is the dumbest lie you could ever say, says this is fake news, there was no vote. AFA then publicly denounces Estudiantes and shames them by forcing them to do a guard of honor in their next match. Estudiantes does a guard of honor facing the other way. AFA is mad. They punish Estudiantes with a rule that says guard of honor are mandatory and that they have to face the champions while performing it, right? So they point at a rule that says you have to do a guard of honor and you have to face the champions while you do it. Now, Twitter goes through the metadata and Wayback Machine and discovers that this rule is fake, and that it was created during the match. So basically, right after this happens, they go in and edit the rule, even though the document says it's from February and Wayback Machine shows there was no document. So they're trying to edit the metadata to make it look like this document is old. The AFA edits the metadata to make it seem like it was uploaded correctly in February, but Cloudflare shows that it was edited the day after the match. Worst of all, they used an Adobe version released in September 2025, while the new metadata says that it was still released in February 2025, meaning that they used an Adobe version that didn't exist when they say that it was published. AFA decided to suspend, and then there's the suspension stuff. So from a couple of different sources, apparently they're like rigging the metadata. They wrote the rule that you have, dude. They wrote the rule after it happened. And I obviously, I don't know if any of this stuff up here is true about like why they forced Estudiantes to do this, because Estudiantes came out and said it was ridiculous that this new trophy was being created in the first place. But given how petty they've been with everything else, I have to say I would not be surprised. I don't really know what there is for them to do about it at this point. It's just a really ridiculous situation. Oh man, I can't believe this is real.